The Siege of the Ordinary: How Americans Can Rebuild Freedom from the Grocery Aisle Up. 1. The Invisible Siege. The modern American isn't at war with another country, they're under siege by their own system. It's not a civil war with two sides, it's a civil siege with one. Every grocery run, gas refill, and bill payment reminds them that the walls are closing in. Prices climb like ivy, and the invisible hand of the market feels more like a chokehold than guidance. So what does that actually mean? It means control, not chaos, runs this economy. Footnote. This section introduces the idea that America's economic crisis is an organized siege disguised as free market activity. 2. Manufactured confusion. The easiest way to control people is not to blind them, it's to confuse them. The average person can see the problem but not its source. They're told inflation is the fault of China, Russia, feminism, or UFOs, anything but the profiteers who set the prices. It's a game of distraction. The chokehold stays firm while the explanations get sillier. And as long as the public argues about why it hurts, they'll never fight who's doing the squeezing. Footnote. This section explains how public narratives are manipulated to conceal corporate-driven exploitation. 3. The economics of humiliation. Every purchase is now a minor indignity. Swipe. Fee. Decline. Repeat. People are told it's just the market, but it isn't. It's management, calculated scarcity sold as natural law. The CEOs of the companies that decide the price of bread earn $16 million a year deciding how hungry others stay. When costs rise, their profits rise too. So what does that actually mean? It means you pay twice, once at the store, and again in dignity. Footnote. This section details how systemic corporate control replaces free markets with engineered dependency. 4. The feudal illusion. Capitalism, as practiced, isn't freedom, it's feudalism with Wi-Fi. The castles are skyscrapers, the peasants commute in traffic, and the lords have LinkedIn. Western ideology insists that if you reject capitalism, you must be a Marxist. But rejecting a bad map doesn't mean you're lost, it just means you stopped pretending north is wherever the rich say it is. Footnote. This section argues that modern capitalism mirrors feudal structures, sustaining inequality through ideology and labeling. 5. The scam society. Everyone's hustling, but not everyone's winning. From get-rich-quick gurus to passive income profits, the culture runs on scam fuel. It's dog-eat-dog, except that the dogs at the top never get bitten. The result? A nation that calls exploitation entrepreneurship and poverty a personal failure. So what does that actually mean? It means the system doesn't teach you how to succeed, it teaches you to sell success while sinking. Footnote. This section explores how systemic economic pressure normalizes exploitation and glorifies financial illusion. 6. The shame trap. Being broke in America is treated like a crime. The rich invented words like brokey to shame the majority, a linguistic trick to make poverty feel like failure instead of design. People are taught to get ahead, never realizing the phrase itself is a trap. Ahead of who? Each other. Divide and conquer disguised as ambition. Footnote. This section reveals how cultural shaming and competitive conditioning reinforce systemic inequality. 7. From isolation to sufficiency. The cure isn't flight, it's formation. Most can't leave America, but they can rebuild inside it, one block at a time. The strategy is deceptively simple: cooperate. Start with a handful of neighbors. Pool money to buy food staples in bulk. Save money. Share labor. Build trust. Then expand: farmers markets, ethnic grocers, direct trade with small producers abroad. Sufficiency is the antidote to scarcity. Footnote. This section introduces community cooperation as the foundation for local autonomy and resilience. 8. Building the first layer. A group chat is the new town square. 10 households can form a microeconomy. Transparency replaces bureaucracy, open books, shared costs, clear aims. Every loaf of bread becomes an act of quiet rebellion. And when that rhythm sets in, weekly staples, shared cooking, mutual support, dependence weakens. This isn't utopia, it's practice. Footnote. This section explains how small, structured cooperation creates functional local economies. 9. Expanding the circle. Once local, think global. Connect with farmers and cooperatives in the global south, the real producers who feed the West. Skip the middlemen. Use consulates and trade directories. Import small. Pay fairly. Share the goods. When the supply chain becomes personal, dependence becomes obsolete. So what does that actually mean? It means sovereignty now has a mailing address. Footnote. This section emphasizes fair trade networks as a path to true independence from corporate monopolies. 10. The return of real freedom. Freedom isn't a flag or a slogan, it's dinner you can afford without asking permission. Once a neighborhood feeds itself, the empire shrinks. Cost of living crises turn into comedy sketches about failed manipulation. When communities create food, trade, and skill networks, they become sovereign ecosystems. And here's the quiet truth, the only thing stopping them is fear that they can't. Footnote. This section concludes that autonomy begins with self-sufficiency and the courage to act collectively.